How are you?
Doing
Good,
awesome.
thanks. Thank you guys for making the time. Honestly, I'm really excited about this. I grew up loving Tiny Toons when I was a kid. It was Tiny Toons, it was Animaniacs, it was The Tick, it was X-Men the Animated Series, Batman, all of that. And honestly, Tiny Toons would just start off my Saturday mornings. It would just start off, it would cap off the end of a weekday after school. And I just enjoyed it. So watching these characters come back in a different way, in a very fresh way, makes fills me with happiness, and I think will fill a lot of fans with happiness as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um,
I take full responsibility.
I have to ask, both of you guys, were you guys huge fans growing up as well? Were you guys all about the Tiny Toons, when you were kids too?
Very much. I broke the VHS, watched it too much.
Yeah. Nate, how about yourself? You too?
Uh, when Tiny Toons came out, I was in high school and I was just a tiny bit too cool for school for it. But I still watched cartoons and loved it. And I think when I came onto the show, I wanted to take that the super classic cartoony like fun that Tiny
Yeah.
Toons represented for that generation. So my touch points for it are a little bit older than Tiny Toons, but that like the cartooniness that it embodied, I was reaching for.
Of course. I couldn't tell. You look so young, Nate, that I figured you were like,
I'm 95.
Oh, oh
I have a
God,
filter on. You can't see
you look
that.
you look amazing for your age. I just gotta say, whatever you're doing, keep it up. Nate, I have to ask a question. So when it came to, for example, Animaniacs coming back, it sort of was more of a continuation, additional cartoons to add to different seasons. With Tiny Toons, you guys took a different approach. You really kind of, I don't like using the term reboot, but it's almost a reboot slash remake because it's the same characters, but it's very, very different. For example, Bugs and Babs used to have a catchphrase, Buster Bunny, Babs Fun. Sorry, Buster and Babs. Used to say no relation as a catchphrase. You can't really say that anymore because they're twins, and they used to date in the former series, but now they're actually brother and sister in this one. With that sort of a reimagining, what sort of inspired that versus a continuation of the original show? What are your thoughts there?
That decision was made months before I came on. The show was in development for a few months before I came onto it, and that kind of had already been put in place. Aaron Gibson, the Koipi head writer, I wanted to explore just a different aspect of Babs and Buster, and not like a flirty romantic interest for each of them, but go for a brother and sister relationship where they're going to college. And have, for the premise of the show of them going to Acme Looniversity, to have them be brother and sister gave a way for two of the characters to already know each other, where everybody else is meeting for the first time, which is a different, exciting new direction to take with them. But I can't,
Yeah,
sorry, I can't speak directly to that. Aaron Gibson, who can't be here because of the writer's strike,
not a problem. Not a
would be able
problem.
to answer in more detail.
It's a great answer, and it's good to know as well. What you guys have done though, the changes that you've made, they're actually very fresh. They really work for the new generation, and I think kids who haven't seen the original Tiny Toons will definitely still appreciate this because there's a huge message, especially because they're siblings now. It's a huge message about them becoming their own people in college. And I think that that's really important and really relatable when you think about it. You could go the easy route and just have them, not be related and have them date, kind of do the 90210 thing. But you guys decide to do something that's a little bit more pertinent. And I think that that actually speaks a lot more to a lot of the kids today that are going to be watching this, about finding your own identity outside of a romantic partner, which I like.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really fun too, just like the school aspect, leaning into them going to Acme Looniversity to earn their Toon degree is something that's from the original show, but didn't really get explored in depth in a way. Like, what does that mean to go to college? Like I went to art school and had a ton of fond memories of that. David probably went to theater school, I'm guessing. But there's such a like when you go like just basing on that, like these cartoons look up to their mentors who are like the legacy Warner Brothers characters, and they're not legacy characters yet, but they're like at college to make their stamp on the world and figure out who they are and what that is. And I think that's a really cool aspect that we've been able to explore, is like they're not just imitating the legacy characters, they're trying to figure out who they are as Toons.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great segue actually, because not imitating, actually making the characters your own. David, this is where I'm going to defer to you for a lot of this, because I am constantly impressed by the fact that, we had with the original series, you had the late great Joe Alasky and the late great Don Messick really voicing Plucky and Hampton. You had to have two people to do that, and they did phenomenal jobs. You only need one person to do both of them in this one, and it is you, David. And you just do a phenomenal job. When you approach the role, did you have to watch old archived footage of maybe Joe and Don, David, Joe and Don, for Hampton and for Plucky to kind of get into that character mindset, or because it feels like you put your own stamp on it, but they still feel very similar. They feel like Hampton and Plucky, but your versions of Hampton and Plucky, which I really enjoyed. How did you approach that?
That's wonderful. Thank you for saying that. So I did not wind up going back. Like I said, I wore out that tape as a kid, so I have a lot of memories of, what is this show? How did it go? Who were the characters? How did they sound? And when the auditions came out, they were like, "Hey, we're looking for similar but different." I'm like, okay. So I do voice match, right? Like I also voice Ferb on the new Phineas and Ferb content that's come out. And that's a voice match. That's legitimately trying to be as close as possible. So as soon as they said, we're not looking for a voice match, we're looking for similar but different, I went, okay, instead of going back and listening to the source material and being drawn into sort of a more narrow approach, I thought, let me do these voices how I remember them. So my take on Hampton is what I remember Hampton sounding like. My take on Plucky is what I remember Plucky sounding like. I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong. I'm far off. But the cool thing about leaning into the memories was that the actual consistent thing that came through was, I think, the core of who they are. So even though Hampton sounds a little bit different, he's still got a sweetness and a niceness and a sort of buoyancy to him. And then Plucky, he's got this lovely, wonderful, we'll call it self-assuredness, right? I know that you love me, I love me, and I'm not sure if my parents do. But I don't know. He doesn't necessarily think that. But like, that's dead wrong, because the original had a lateral lisp, more like Sid the Sloth, right? But we went with that forward one, which is almost more akin to what Daffy has. But the timbre of my voice creates a different thing, because like, if I was going to do Daffy, then I would have to sink down into my lower register, instead of where I've got Plucky, who's sitting up here and just living his life. So I think being able to aim at what I remembered and capitalize on the beautiful fallibility of memory was what helped me get in and stay inside the room.
I love it.
Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky. I mean, I don't want to compare David to Rocky, but he wrote. I don't know if this is lore or real or not, but I've heard that he wrote Rocky and then lost the script and then had to rewrite it from memory, and that's the one that we know. So he only remembered the best parts and just had to scribble them down.
For as a fan, and David, I'm sure you feel this way too. I think you just nailed it, man. I mean, like, it sounds exactly like them, but there is a slight difference, which is good because it's a fresh take on this show. My final. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The writing helps with that, because they're not putting me into the same boxes, right? We're really trying to recapture the exact same thing, because why would we? That exists It's wonderful. Like I certainly have no intention of going back and re-recording all of the voiceover for the original Tiny Toons.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to anybody's house and taking their VHS or DVD and like replacing it with my version. I wouldn't. Like they couldn't pay me enough because I love, love, love what has come before. And that's what's really exciting about what we're doing is we're not giving you the same because why? I'm sure we've all seen that with different projects and like you get something and it's a new um version of it, but it's not a new iteration. Like there's no change. It's very much the same. And you see this with video games, right? They're like, yeah, it's the same video game. Why? Like, sure, it's more, but it's not different. Why wouldn't I just go back and save my money and play the first one? I think one of the cool things that they're actually offering from our writers' room, from our producers, is this is new, right down to the style of the show. We're not a sketch show anymore. We're straight through a B plot in so many ways. I mean, that's a simplification. Forgive me, Nate. But
That's it.
but I think that we're offering something fun, new, and different, and I hope that people get really excited about that because I think that they've knocked it out of the park. I had somebody with me at Comic-Con at the screening, and they were like, "This is such a cool thing to watch because while you guys are plussing the material with your performances, you don't need to. The material is already there." And that's, I mean, I think that's high praise for our writers' room, and I definitely agree.
I couldn't agree more as well. Bravo and well said. People are gonna love this the same way that we love the originals, and I love the fresh take on it. I love what you guys have done to it. David, Nate, thank you guys so much for your time. This has been wonderful. Congratulations on the show. It's going to be huge. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Manal from the Nerds of Color. How are you? Good. How are you?
Hello.
It's great to see you both. It's great to talk to you. Honestly, I'm a huge Tiny Toons fan. Had the chance to check out a couple of these episodes. You guys just knocked it out of the park. As someone who loved this growing up, you guys lived up to that legacy, but also did something really fresh. I just had a chance to talk with Nate and David about the show as well, and we were just talking about how these characters feel so true to who they always have been, but you're putting them in different scenarios and doing different things with their characters, which I really thought was ambitious and different. So congratulations on that, really.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Tessa, I mean, to kind of step into the shoes left by Candy, to do Sweetie, who's wonderful and a legend. I'm going to move because I don't want to block you. What was that like for you? Did it feel new? Did it feel fresh? Did you have to do something different? Did you have to watch tapes of Candy? How was your approach to Sweetie?
Well, it was unreal, first of all, to just step into these shoes that Candy left. And I got to meet her and talk to her. And she is just the most welcoming, kind, incredible person that I've ever met. She's a legend. She's an icon. She is the moment. She is like so insanely talented. I mean, you can see she's voicing two more characters in this show. Like, not only is she Sweetie, she's Dean Granny, Witch Hazel. She like will forever be incredible. So to step into those shoes and to also give like Sweetie like a little twist, like, Sweetie has more of a role in this show than in the original Tiny Toons, but it just shows like how amazing Candy was, that like even though Sweetie did not have that big of a role in the original, she was that iconic that they're like, you know what, we want to take her and do a little more with her. So I just really want to like step into those shoes that Candy just like brought and just be like, do her proud, like do her right, because she loves Sweetie, I love Sweetie, we both love this character so much. So there's just a lot of love that I went into doing this character, and I just wanted to have as much fun as humanly possible. So I think I succeeded.
It's such a wonderful performance, really, and it is really, really fun. Loved it. Eric, for you, first off, this is the second chance I'm getting to speak with you, so kumusta ka, brother? I mean, like, I got to talk to you about Space Jam: New Legacy. It is awesome to see you now taking on Tiny Toons. I mean, to kind of, you also had the challenge of kind of Charlie and Joe, sorry, Originally. I mean, what did that feel like for you not having to voice a classic Looney Tunes character in the traditional sense, but a classic Tiny Toon character this time around? This is different for you.
Yeah, I kind of identify these characters as I like to call them modern classics. You know, I know they're not the golden age, but they kind of are now to us, them being at least like 30 years old now. But they still look great. You know, who needs plastic surgery when you could be a cartoon? It's the new Botox is being these characters. Yeah, Charlie Adler. I mean, geez Louise, if you've ever met or worked with Charlie, he is a living, breathing character in his own right, and to kind of even think that you're going to be, you know, following someone like Charlie is you know, for me is a dream because he is such a hero to me. But yeah, these characters, although it is part of a reimagining, they also needed a call for familiar but different because it's, you know, not going to be like the old show. They've expanded the show in so many different ways. Like you said, like the writers have added so many different layers to these characters that they're not just kind of like gag driven anymore. There's a lot of story being and thought being put into these. So you kind of have to be able to tip your hat and have a nod to the original, but be able to be a good enough actor to kind of bring that new dimension to these characters that is needed for them to succeed in this new, you know, version of the show. But yeah, it's hard not to look back, you know, as not just a performer, but as a fan, as we all are in this chat right now. It's hard not to compare to the old, and there wouldn't be a new version of the show if it weren't for the original Tiny Toon Adventures.
But it is, for as much as it is hard to look back because we do love the original so much. That's the basis of all of this. You guys still managed to make it your own while staying true to both the sound, audio wise, and the spirit of these characters. And it's inherent in both of your performances. So bravo, really. The one thing that I want to ask you both is, I know the wonderful Ashley Harrison couldn't be on this call today, but she voices Babs. And both of you guys, your characters obviously have these really profound relationships with Babs. I think Eric, obviously, seeing the character kind of evolve from the no relation catchphrase to them being siblings now, twin brother and twin sister. There's a profound relationship there. And then Tessa with Sweetie just being like BFFs and having this amazing chemistry that's hilarious and fun to see evolve. You know, like to cultivate something so rich. I gotta ask, what did it take for you guys to work with Ashley to do that? Did you guys get a chance to meet and do a chemistry test, chemistry reading, any of that stuff, prepare for your lines and your banter? How did that work?
Well, because we were recording this during COVID, it was kind of like a tough time because we didn't get to really meet everyone as much as we wanted to, or to work or record with everyone as much as we would have wanted to, because we would have wanted to, because we love each other. We're like that's sort of how our like chemistry got pushed into the cartoons, because I think we just all have chemistry as friends. We just lucked out in that we all just like are friends with each other. So then I think it kind of bleeds into that. But so that's what I mean. I think we just kind of got lucky in that our chemistry really worked. It was really seamless. It was really like you could tell that there was a lot of love there. And I think that's really, really important for this show, because I think that is the whole foundation and the biggest difference between the original Tiny Toons and this Tiny Toons is that like the core of this show is like the friendship and the love behind the characters. And I think that you can really feel that.
Yeah, I think again, you know, having the trust and the fortune of having good writing,
Yeah.
obviously great voice directing. You know, Aaron Gibson was pretty much there to lead us through like a majority of these shows and scripts. Yeah, Nate was always on the call, and yeah, we have such great producers and writers on the show that you know, you just got to trust the material and just trust your own instincts too when it comes to knowing these characters and how they would interact and interlock with one another's performances. We did have chances and times to meet outside of the show, just to even hang out. And again, what Tessa keeps saying is like the word luck. It's like we know how lucky we are when we get to work on a show like this. I mean, that the gratitude and will never fall short with any one of us, knowing like, oh my gosh, like it's like winning the lottery, really, to play in this playground. So yeah, it's just the right combination. I wonder like what dynamic would change if we did get to record together. We might not even be able to get any work done.
I know. I was just gonna say that.
You know, if we were actually in the same room, maybe it's a good thing that we're separated. But yeah, I think who knows? Maybe in the future, maybe if we're lucky enough, we might be going to New York Comic-Con. Who knows? I'm just gonna put that out there. Putting it out there. I wonder if there's any people at Warner Brothers that are listening right now that could make that happen for us to go to New York Comic-Con to possibly do a table read. Then maybe the strike will be over then, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah,
We're gonna manifest. Yeah,
we're gonna
Manifest.
we're gonna hope for the
out in
best.
the world. I would love to see you guys in New York Comic Con. It was sad that we couldn't get to see you guys at San Diego Comic Con. Honestly, that being said, the show turned out wonderful. I think when people finally get a chance to see it, you know, especially whether they're experiencing it for the first time or re-experiencing it like I did, they're going to see something here that is just far deeper than what a reboot, a traditional remake or reboot or continuation could have been. And you guys were a huge part of that. Like, really. My last question, I promise. One of the things that I remember fondly was watching How I Spent My Summer Vacation, the Tiny Toons movie on VHS. If given the opportunity, if we could expand Looniversity into its own movie, would that be a hard yes for you guys? Would you guys sign on for that immediately? Because I would totally burn a VHS or a DVD or a Blu-ray, whatever it is, because VHSs don't exist anymore. But yeah, I would totally watch the living crap out of that.
Oh, absolutely. I would be on board. Maybe
Yes.
it's like a European. Maybe they go to like another place, like a Asian vacation or European vacation or something. They go to a different land or something like that. Who knows?
Any vacation.
Yeah.
Any
I
vacation.
think anytime that subject, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, is brought up, it's always remembered fondly. So I would totally.
Oh,
I think generations deserve a new Tiny Toons movie. So both of you guys, amazing job. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And thank you so much for your time. Have a great one.
Thank you. We're manifesting that movie for you.
And New York Comic Con, manifest.
And New York Comic Con, everything.
We don't ask for much. We don't ask for anything. We don't ask for anything at all. I just want to go to New York. That's all. Not a big deal.
Let's get them to New York, guys. Thank you so much.
Of the fall fashions in New York.
Fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life.